Hello and welcome to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. This is your co-host, Pat Kern. Joining me as always, the two best fantasy football minds around. You know them as Brad the Dad and Josh the Boss. Follow us on Twitter. Myself is at HattrickPat37. Brad's at Tack Jones. And Josh is at FF Josh Hughes. If you absolutely love this podcast, which you must because you're tuning in every week and we love it, follow us on Twitter at EmptyWagonFF. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're all over the social media. Thanks to our good friends, Blue Spade Productions. Follow them on Twitter at Blue Spade Pro. They're hitting up all our social media game and getting some old folks out there on the line, and we really appreciate it. And always got to give them a shout out on all our shows. This show, we are breaking down the last AFC division that we have not talked about yet, so we're talking about it today. It is the AFC West. I got the joy of the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. And Brad got...
the Chargers.
That's right. I just just blanked on that one. The LA Chargers, not San Diego Chargers. For those of you stuck in 2016. And then Josh got the fortunate doing of two teams again. He got his Denver Broncos, and then he got the Kansas City Chiefs.
So juicy.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to those teams. But before we get this wagon rolling, break down the AFC West. Just want to say, for all of you listening to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast and on an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a great app that allows you to get all your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. Again, that's Podcast Republic app. I use it. I love it. I search my podcasts. I set them as favorites. They're one click away. I listen to myself on Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast so I can see what an idiot I sound. You guys must love it, so I'm going to keep doing it. But Podcast Republic app on your Android device. Remember to set Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast as a favorite. All right, going to roll right into it now with the AFC West. Josh, you're going to kick us off with the Denver Broncos. Giddy up.
All right, Denver Broncos. So we'll get right into the quarterback situation here. Case Keenum, he's got the 23rd quarterback taken. An ADP of 155 overall. To be honest, I'm kind of skeptical. This was Keenum's first year being a great fantasy option, and the weapons are there. He's an upgrade over what they had last year, but he's never really been the guy. Even last year when he was in Minnesota, he didn't start out the season being the guy. It was Sam Bradford. And this is his fourth team in 6 years. So to me, it kind of says a lot about Case Keenum. Maybe he finally got put in the right system. I know he was good in Houston in college, but Houston, the NFL, he didn't really happen. LA, Minnesota was the first time. So now he's getting paid big bucks to be the guy, and I'm just not really sold on him yet. However, I do project him to have a fairly decent season. 3,600 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's going to get you a little bit on the ground, 150 yards with a TD. I'm giving him a B-, 229 points with 14 points per game, and that's not great for a quarterback, but him being the 23rd quarterback overall, he's going to be a decent streaming option. And the schedule is kind of rough, though. I'll be honest with you guys. So make sure you pay attention to that. They play the NFC West, which is something to be aware of, and the AFC West is no cakewalk itself. So Case Keenum, And then we have the muddled running back situation with Devontae Booker and Royce Freeman.
Gross.
Yeah, I have to agree. After looking at this, breaking it down, I was not happy about it because you got to remember, C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles are gone. And C.J. Anderson actually finished top 10 in the league last year in rushing yards. Well, guess what? Devontae Booker is not C.J. Anderson. These guys being gone opened up 314 carries. Now, Devontae Booker and Royce Freeman will get the chance to do that, and the attempts will still be high because, like I said, I don't think Case Keenum is going to be the guy that's going to, change the world. But Booker is not going to finish the season as a starter. Royce Freeman will. He's the better option. They've tried to make this work with Booker year in and year out, and he's just not that guy. He's a bad running back, and I'll say that because he's on my team. But Freeman's going to be a better option, and running back is one of the easiest positions to transition to from college to the NFL. So the only thing you got to worry about is pass blocking, but Freeman is going to be a guy who, by the end of the year, he's going to get that starting job. He's a better player, but going in the 7th round in 12-team leagues for a guy who's going to be your backup, he's a backup. He's not even the number one on his own team. To me, that's just too high to take him. I feel like there's still better value out there. Combined between the two of them, I have 1,223 yards, 7 touchdowns, 60 receptions, 500 yards, 1 touchdown, 280 points. But you talk about splitting that between two different guys. You don't know which one you want to start. And quite frankly, I don't want to start either one of them until Royce Freeman wins that starting job. So he might even be a waiver wire fodder guy. Just hold off on those. Then we get into some people I actually care about. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Demaryius Thomas is the 18th wide receiver overall getting taken with an ADP of 40. He's actually going behind Josh Gordon, who I think he will put up better numbers than. He's going to return to wide receiver 1 form this year, and he's going to be a great value. Last year was his first year below 1,000 yards, and his QB play was horrendous. Okay? It was the first year he had below 1,000 yards. You talk about hyper-targeted. This guy is a guy who gets hyper-targeted. If he's talented enough to outperform this ADP, he's going to finish as a wide receiver 1. I'm calling it now. He's not the best wide receiver in the league, but the ones that you get in this range, he's better than some of them. I mean, and that's the facts. Demaryius Thomas is a talented guy, and he's going to get you those numbers. Case Keenum isn't going to have to do a lot to get him and Emmanuel Sanders the ball. These guys get separation and they get open. I'm projecting 92 catches, 1,150 yards, 6 touchdowns, 243 yards overall with a 15.1 points per game. And then Emmanuel Sanders, oh my gosh, what a steal. A guy going the 34th wide receiver overall, ADP of 80. I mean, he's got great wide receiver 2 value and flex value. To me, it's a tragedy as to how far he's falling in drafts. Because he's a steal. Emmanuel Sanders' upside is incredible. It's through the roof. I understand he's older now, both of them are, but when I watch him play, and I've watched him play a lot, I see a guy he's just better than a lot of the corners that he's facing. Demaryius Thomas is going to get the number 1 corner on most teams. And you have Emmanuel Sanders who just gets separation. He gets open. He knows how to do it. He's going to be better than Will Fuller and Devin Funchess, who are still going ahead of him. Devin Funchess is going to fall to wide receiver 2. Will Fuller is just, without Deshaun Watson, he's non-existent.
Those two are going ahead of Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, think about that. And Devin Funchess is going to lose targets this year to DJ Moore. It was his first season in Denver that he had under 1,000 yards. So ever since he's been in Denver, he's had over 1,000 yards. Another stat that you guys need to pay attention. And he will play the Adam Thielen role for Case Keenum. If they're smart, they're going to try and mirror how they use those guys. And I don't know if you guys saw how he loved Adam Thielen last year, but the guy got target after target after target. And that's Emmanuel Sanders right there. He's going to slide in that role because he's better than Thielen. You can say whatever you want to about that, but he's a guy who's more athletic, more talented than Adam Thielen. He's a little bit older, but I'm still projecting 75 catches, 920 yards, 6 touchdowns. These guys are going to be great. They're really going to be the only fantasy options on this team that you're going to want to mess with.
Just the 2 wide receivers?
Yeah, because unless you're going to get Royce Freeman later on, and right now his ADP, he's 34th running back going off the board, 93 overall. To me, for a guy who's not even the number 1 receiver or running back on his team, that's too high. I mean, that's how I feel about Royce Freeman. Now, do I think that he's talented enough to finish as an RB2? Absolutely. The problem is that he doesn't have the job yet.
Okay. I'm interested, though, because you said, and Brad, I'll let you jump in here in a second, but you don't love Case Keenum, right?
I don't love Case Keenum, no.
All right. So you like Blake Bortles better. Sorry. Previous episode.
No.
So, okay. You don't love Case Keenum, but now you're hyping up these wide receivers.
Yes.
Who's throwing them the ball there, Josh?
It would be Case Keenum.
Okay.
But you don't have to sit there and have a top 15 quarterback to have great receivers.
No, but it helps.
Look at DeAndre Hopkins. Do you guys remember Tom Savage last year?
Hey.
I'm just throwing it out there. And Case Keenum is better than Tom Savage.
Yes, but DeAndre Hopkins is.
Yeah, he's better than both of those receivers. I'm not arguing. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is that you don't have to have great quarterback play. You don't have to have Tom Brady to sit there and produce top receivers. I mean, how many wide receiver 1s has Tom Brady even produced because he spreads the ball around? These guys are the only options to throw the ball to on this offense.
It's not so much that I disagree that the wide receivers aren't going to do well and they're going to have a great year. I just think you're maybe downplaying Case Keenum. Why don't you believe in him? Why aren't you buying into Case Keenum? Because I know Denver won Kirk Cousins, so it's kind of, the alternate, I guess we'll get our goodie bag as we leave the party for the Kirk Cousins. But he's still good.
Prove it. I mean, that's the thing is looking at his numbers, last year was the first time he's even been relevant.
Yes.
I've looked at 4 teams in 6 years. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that Minnesota knew that they were going to get something better in Kirk Cousins. There's a reason that they didn't want to pay Case Keenum. Okay, so to me, it really stands out. Like, they know something that we don't. These are NFL minds, and yes,
Jeff Fisher.
Yes, Jeff Fisher. I'm not arguing that. I was actually about to say his name. Jeff Fisher did hurt Case Keenum, but you can't sit there and tell me that Case Keenum and Nick Foles are incredible quarterbacks, because even when they got starting opportunities without these great head coaches, they didn't blow people away. So a lot of it has to do with coaching, and the coaching in Denver, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's not great. I'm a Denver fan, and I'm willing to admit that.
Brad, go ahead and jump in if you got something.
You guys killed the Case Keenum wide receiver thing to death. Josh, I don't think I heard you say anything about D'Angelo Henderson probably taking away a Devontae Booker or Royce Freeman's role.
No, because
you not believe in him?
No, I don't believe in D'Angelo Henderson. To me, I'm not going to bring him up because he's not going to be fantasy relevant.
Okay, and no Cortland Sutton? You don't think any fantasy relevancy? With Emmanuel Sanders, who always misses games, right? Has he played 16 games in the last 3 years?
No.
Nice pause there. Not going to mention Cortland. He's a rookie.
That kind of opens the door. Cortland Sutton could, I'm not saying you want to draft him, but maybe keep him on your waiver wire, add possibilities, or wait for a owner to get upset, and then Emmanuel Sanders goes down and he could slide into a role.
Once again, wide receiver is a very difficult position to develop. The coaching in Denver isn't great, okay? So he's not going to have someone that's going to help him develop, and the 2 guys in front of him have been doing it for a really long time, and they're better than that. I mean, to me, Cortland Sutton, yeah, he's a great guy. In Dynasty, I love Cortland Sutton. I love him over both of those guys. But we're talking about this year and right now, he's not draftable. He's not a guy who I'm going to sit there and take right now. He's the 3rd option on that team, possibly the 4th when they start throwing the ball to Royce Freeman. So I'm not buying it.
Okay, and last thing, did you bring up any tight ends? No nice butts you want to talk about?
No.
I'm waiting to see how healthy Mr. Butt is.
Reports in camp, he's doing great. They love him.
Well, I can bring up trailer.
They love that butt.
The butt trailer.
They love that butt.
No, dude, there's no tight end there that is going to do anything. Moving on.
All right. Do you want to move on with the LA Chargers now, Brad?
Yeah, I'll take care of the LA Chargers. And don't worry, Pat, I'd say San Diego a lot too still. It's still hard to differentiate. When all the Charger stuff I have still says San Diego. Let's get talking about the Chargers, right? Every year it seems like there's injuries galore on the offensive line. Somebody somewhere in the Chargers gets hurt. The only guy that doesn't, he's got 9 kids, and he rides an awesome limo to work every day, is Phillip Rivers.
It's true.
Those are all facts.
Those are all
now
facts.
We know the facts of Phillip Rivers. Let's get into the guessing on Phillip Rivers. So right now, ADP 118. That's a nice late-round quarterback I'm not upset to have is Phillip Rivers. As long as his wide receivers stay healthy, he plays very well. And the defense is getting improved there with Joey Bosa and a lot of the stuff they do on defense there. Therefore, he doesn't feel like he has to throw the ball. He's keeping his interception numbers down. 2 years ago, his interception numbers skyrocketed because he was trying to do everything. This year, he's not trying to do as much, and last year he didn't try to do as much, so interception numbers went down. So I'm projecting 4,200 yards, 25 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, for a total points of 243 points, which puts him at low QB1 numbers. Because you're not getting any rushing upside from Phillip Rivers.
Nope.
Even Tom Brady, they're just going to stand back there and they're going to try to pick defenses apart and try not to get killed.
Hey, Brady's about to have 1,000
That's
career.
a shot, Pat. Career. Yeah, career. I got that.
Yep.
TB1K.
All right, moving on.
Phillip Rivers. So with Rivers, his line needs to stay healthy. They already have injuries in the line in the offseason. If that line stays healthy, he'll be fine. He ain't run away from anyone, I've said. Let's move on to Melvin Gordon, ADP, number 10. So he's a late first-round running back going off the board. I know Josh doesn't like him, and he's going to bring up 3.2 yards a carry. I already know. Here it's coming. I see it. See the look in his face. I got him at 1,015 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. And this is where I'm kind of skyrocketing a little bit. 56 receptions, 500 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns for 271 points. With the tight end injury they had with Hunter Henry going down, can't even talk today.
Henry Hunter?
I think Melvin Gordon's going to pick up a lot of that short yardage work, the tight end routes. Austin Eckler. What? Go ahead.
That's the guy I'm thinking is going to take those catches away is Eckler, not Melvin Gordon.
Well, Eckler can't get on the field if Melvin Gordon's out there.
Okay, well,
It's true.
we'll see about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, go with Eckler.
Austin Eckler last year. He's their backup. He is the handcuff to Melvin Gordon. His ADP is 119. Or, sorry, 197, not 119.
I was going to say, that's very high
We're
for
talking
Eckler.
19th round.
Okay.
What was that?
Nothing. Keep going.
Oh, I thought when you said 119,
Yeah,
I was
getting
like, that's very high for Eckler. But yeah, the 197,
Yeah, that was-
absolutely.
Yeah, 197. So I'm only putting him at 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, 22 receptions, which is still a lot of receptions, for 230 yards and only 1 touchdown, for 104 points, which isn't bad. And that's saying that Melvin Gordon stays healthy. If Melvin Gordon has any lingering issues where you think he might be getting held back or may miss a game or two, Austin Eckler's numbers could jump up a lot. Keenan Allen. Everybody keeps saying he's injury plagued, and he does have a lot of injuries history, but he's still a young wide receiver. Health is the concern with him. ADP, it has him at pick 17. Pick 17. So you're getting him into the second round, middle of the second round, depending on if you're 12, 10-team league. 90 receptions, which if people remember from my last episode, is the same amount of receptions I had for one Nuke Hopkins. Yardage is going to be a lot lower. I have him at 1,115 yards, 8 touchdowns, for total points of 267 points. Next up, we have Mike Williams, who I actually think is going to be the number 2 wide receiver there. He's been doing a lot of work in the offseason, trying to improve himself. His ADP is 127. So you can get him relatively late, 12th round. Got him at 55 receptions for 802 yards, 5 touchdowns, 165 points, which is good wide receiver 2 numbers. It's not great, but it's good wide receiver flex numbers. The guy that I think might pick up a little more slack, also with Melvin Gordon, with the tight end going down, is the other wide receiver. I think you're going to see a lot of 3 wide receiver sets coming out of San Diego. Out of LA is Terrell Williams. ADP's 179. He could be a steal if they do actually want to go with these 3 wide receiver sets because he is an established number 2 wide receiver who can go on the outside. I only have him at 35 receptions right now, 515 yards, 3 touchdowns with 104 points, but that number could jump up. Last thing I want to kind of say is watch what moves the Chargers make in the offseason with tight end. Right now they have Virgil Green. You talked about no good tight ends in Denver. Virgil Green is not a good passing. He's a great run blocking tight end, and he'll be on the field, but he is not somebody you're going to use him down the field. If they sign somebody like an Antonio Gates, which I'm not really too happy about, or a Julius Thomas, you could see a lot of these wide receiver and running back receptions going down with them stealing a lot of the targets away. What do you guys think?
So, first of all, I'm upset that you didn't mention Geno Smith because he's on the Chargers, and I know if Phillip Rivers goes down, that's your guy. Second of all,
what bring up Paxton Lynch? I didn't bring up Paxton Lynch either for you, but okay.
It's okay. So, Mike Williams, what makes you think that he's going to have this great year? What gives you that idea? I'm just curious.
So last year was health, right? He had the back injury.
Yes.
In the preseason. He's healthy this year. He's been working out with Keenan Allen all year. And if you're going to work out with somebody, might as well be your amazing teammate wide receiver to get better and understand how Phillip Rivers wants, where he's going to put the ball, how he's going to put the ball. If one person knows that, it's going to be Keenan Allen, who does it every year. And they put a first-round draft pick on this guy. They use a first-round draft pick. They're not going to give him the opportunity. The opportunities are going to be there.
What school did he come out of?
Clemson. I think he made this one guy, Deshaun Watson, really good.
Yeah, no, Deshaun Watson made him really good, champ. And that's, hey, if you guys listened to the last episode, trust me when I tell you, It's a big reason why Mike Williams got paid, and that's Mr. Deshaun Watson. So anyway, tough to argue with that. I just wanted to I wanted you to talk until we got to that point. So now that we're there, we're good.
Oh, man.
All right.
You didn't want to say anything about Melvin Gordon's 3.2 yards a carry?
No, honestly, looking at where he's going and the running backs that are going around him, you never like it, but he's proven his value.
If he gets the numbers that you say he's going to get, then yeah, I will take Melvin Gordon there and be very happy with him.
He's proven his value 2 or 3 years in a row now. So, like you said, it's not pretty, but it's tough to argue with. So I'm not even hating it, dude. I wish he would. Yeah, I mean, I wish that he was prettier, but this ain't a beauty pageant. You know what I mean?
Yep. No beauty pageants here.
All right. Well, if you're ready, you go ahead and get into your team, dude.
I'm just still stuck on the prettier comment, but yeah, I'll roll into the Oakland Raiders.
I'm not saying he's not a pretty man. I'm just saying that it's not a beauty pageant.
Case.
There's some good-looking men in the NFL. Mr. Travis Kelce is so handsome. He's a great-looking man.
What are we doing?
All right, well, it's called a tangent.
Oakland Raiders.
All right.
Soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders, joining the Golden Knights. Went all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, in case you forgot.
Not
Are
really.
you calling for a Super Bowl?
No. Not with this roster, and not with this new coach.
I think that's what you said about the Golden Knights before the season started, too, though.
What's that?
Not with this roster.
Whatever. All right, Derek Carr. Going to talk about Derek Carr, quarterback of the Oakland Raiders. My projections for him are 3,855 yards, 23 touchdowns, 13 picks, getting you 14 points per game, 230 points, and ADP of 138. He has new additions of Jordy Nelson and Martavius Bryant.
Ooh. Go ahead.
Okay. Martavius Bryant reportedly still in a little bit of trouble there, and Jordy Nelson is still old. However, I do like Jordy Nelson on the Oakland Raiders. I still like Jordy Nelson. Yep, they're going to laugh because everyone's laughing.
No, I'm laughing because you're saying he's still old. Like, yep, hadn't found that fountain of youth yet.
just need to keep people updated. Anyway, I like Derek Carr with his new wide receiver core. It's pretty deep. He has 3 decent receivers as long as they, 1, stay out of trouble, 2, stay off injuries, and 3, live up to their potential. And that pretty much describes the 3 wide receivers that I'll get into here in a little bit. That's all I'm going to talk about Derek Carr. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. Definitely more of
he's not
obviously
not
going to catch any passes. Not a QB1. Definitely more of a late round kind of guy. Yeah, I know, I messed that one up. They have him going in the 13th round. That's pretty much where I'd take Derek Carr. Running backs, Marshawn Lynch and Doug Martin. Marshawn Lynch has a kind of a high ADP. I mean, it's right where you would expect Marshawn Lynch to go. 750 yards, 6 touchdowns, really no help in the passing game. But he's getting you 8.5 points per game and 136 points, and his ADP is 81. So that is 8th round. I think you can find better talent in the 8th round, don't you?
I'm going to be interested to see what happens in the preseason. It's like they tried to preserve him last year, but I think John Gruden might even run him down into the ground, and we might actually get a little beast mode.
You think so?
I think so.
Come back in beast mode?
We'll see.
All right, that's a nice hot take. And now they got Dougie Martin, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 points per game, 76 points, ADP of 121. No one's really buying into Doug Martin, and there's no real reason to because he hasn't proven himself. Really, he's not a pretty option, as some would say. What's that?
He's washed.
He's washed up?
Yeah, he's garbage. He's hot garbage. I'm calling it.
So you think this ADP is too high for Doug Martin?
I think any ADP is too high for Doug Martin.
Okay, well.
So there's that.
So you don't think he could be a sleeper pick this year? If
I
anything,
think
that's
he should be a pick this year.
Well, that's the value I'm putting on Doug Martin. Is he's going to be a sleeper pick. I wouldn't draft him very early. Right now they have him going in the 12th round. I would wait on that. I wouldn't take him in the 12th round. If you get him way later, maybe 13th and 14th round, great, because whatever he does for you, if he gets you those points, if he is a sleeper pick and he has a great year, you're spending a 13th round pick on him, that's a great deal. Sign me up for that deal. Wide receivers, we already mentioned them. Now we're going to talk about them. Amari Cooper, Martavius Bryant, Jordy Nelson. Got 2 new additions there. We're going to talk about Amari Cooper going into his 3rd year. Michael Crabtree is gone, so you can expect good things from Amari Cooper this year. 84 receptions, almost 1,200 yards for 7 touchdowns, 15.5 points per game, 250 points, an ADP of 43. So he's still going in the top 4 rounds. He's still, I would say, wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 2, kind of on that cusp, because I think Jordan Nelson and Martavius Bryant are going to take some of that coverage away from him. Maybe now he's only going up. I mean, we're going to have to see how the season plays out, what camp and preseason holds, but maybe now he's only going up against one top-tier defensive back instead of getting double teamed or getting safety help. Because you have to pay attention to Martavius Bryant and what he can do on the field. Jordy Nelson's a great slot player, and he can still go deep in his old age.
Okay, well.
All right.
Even a blind squirrel can find a nut every now and then.
All right. You are hating on the Raiders.
No, I mean, go ahead.
You don't like the black and silver.
No, I don't, but go ahead.
Martavius Bryant. Expect him this year in 2018 to get 62 receptions, 870 yards, 6 touchdowns. 11.5 points per game, 183 points, and an ADP of 125. I think that's right where you would expect to get Martavius Bryant. If he can get you 11.5 points per game, you're pretty happy with that. Because I don't think he's really put up production in previous years with Pittsburgh. I think his off-field antics are always getting in the way of what he can do on the field. So we're going to have to see if he changes. But if his team moves to Las Vegas, then maybe really stay away from Martavius Bryant.
Yep.
Finally, Jordy Nelson. Got him at 87 receptions. That is the most receptions I'm predicting out of this wide receiver core. Almost 1,200 yards for 10 touchdowns, the most touchdowns out of this receiver core. 10.5 points per game. Got to check my math on that. I'll get back to you on that. But 263, I think I messed that points per game up, but 263 points, ADP of 89. So he's going in between Cooper and Bryant. He's going very late 8th round, early 9th round. If you're getting Jordy Nelson in the 9th round, you got to be happy with that because it is still Jordy Nelson.
I'm going to let you finish, but I have some questions.
Oh, boy. All right.
I do too. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. Seth Roberts, I'm just going to mention him because he's good enough for 100 points, and his ADP right now is 199. So if you're looking for a very, very late round wide receiver, Seth Roberts, maybe there if you don't want to mess around with the rookies. Jared Cook, real quick, 50 receptions, 570 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7.5 points per game, 122 points. ADP at 281. I don't like Jared Cook. ADP at 281. If you have 14 teams with 16 rounds, he's not even a pick right now. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about him. Stick to the other tight ends that we talked about, which were who?
The other tight ends that we spoke about?
Oh, wow. I guess I'm thinking of previous episodes because we didn't really talk about tight ends on the other team. Yeah, I mean, you guys might be higher on Jared Cook. I think from previous episodes that we've talked about, you guys still like Jared Cook. But I've never really bought into him. That's it for Oakland. Go ahead. Break it down, guys. Give me all your hate.
Brad, I think I'm going to let you start off, and then we'll see what we got.
All right. I'm just going to start with the Jared Cook because I know you have some other stuff about the wide receivers. I'll let you handle that, Josh. Jared Cook. Do you know who led the Raiders in receptions?
Yes, I do.
It was Jared Cook, correct?
Correct.
That's a fact.
So Jared Cook led the team in receptions. Now you say Jordy Nelson, who's old, who's coming off knee injuries, who's slow, is going to lead the team in receptions?
Yes.
I doubt that.
Okay.
Crabtree didn't even do that, and I think Crabtree's way more athletic and a better wide receiver at this time in a career than Jordy Nelson is. Then Amari Cooper, whatever. But I think Jared Cook could be a surprise or tight end that you could stream. I'm not saying I want him every week I want to play him, but I could stream Jared Cook week to week. And the running backs, I don't even know if Doug Martin's going to make the team. Honestly, I know they signed him in the offseason, but they still have Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington there, correct? And I know they like those two running backs, at least they did last year. I know it's a new coaching staff, but Doug Martin could be a camp casualty.
Later,
Go ahead, Josh.
Later hater. Well, so the whole thing with the wide receivers that bothers me is you're saying Derek Carr is going to produce 3 top 36 wide receivers. And 2 of those you're saying they're going to be inside the top 24. One of them will finish as a wide receiver 1. You're saying Jordy Nelson. To me, we're talking about Derek Carr, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how? I mean, I just want to know, like, so we saw what Amari Cooper is. He's basically a letdown. He has the talent, yes, but he has these ups and down games where he's going to sit there and burn you on weeks, things like that. The issue with Jordy Nelson is that he is old, and I think he's washed as well. I mean, we saw what happened without Aaron Rodgers. Whenever he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers on the field, he's not effective. And you're telling me that Derek Carr is an upgrade? I personally don't see it. So I want to know what led you to come to this conclusion that you think Jordy Nelson and Amari Cooper are both pretty much going to be fringe wide receiver 1s.
Do we remember Amari Cooper's rookie year?
Yes.
Was it a good rookie year?
It was a great rookie year.
Do we remember Derek Carr's early years?
Yeah.
Rookie. It's pretty good, right?
It was pretty good.
And what happened last year? Oakland had a bad year, right? They had a down year. They didn't do great.
Okay.
Correct? We can all agree with that? Awesome.
Yep.
Why is everyone jumping off the Oakland Raiders after one bad year? Why?
New coaching staff, John Gruden, you're scared they're going to go back and run 90s offenses.
I was actually going to compare it to Stranger Things. Have you guys seen Stranger Things? It's a show that is based in the 80s, but it's filmed right now. It's basically the same thing. Like, you're watching John Gruden bring his old school mentality to the NFL in 2018. That's honestly.
How do you guys know that? Have you been at camp?
Oh, I'm looking by the players he signed. He's going to go grab a bunch of washed up players who, their other teams didn't want them. Why is he sitting there saying that? He went and traded for Christian Hackenberg. Do you guys remember? Am I the only one that remembers that?
He cut him, though. They got rid of him.
No, I understand he cut him, but the fact that he even thought that was a good idea to begin with worries me. I understand he's out there with his freaking sun visor all day with his 10-year, $100 million contract, but that doesn't mean he's a good coach.
There's talent in Oakland.
Oh, I'm not.
John Gruden's offenses have only ever produced 1 wide receiver 1, except for the year when Jerry Rice and Tim Brown were there, and I think we can always say that those are 2 difference maker wide receivers.
I'm not. Yeah, that's more what I'm worried about is John Gruden. Not necessarily that these guys can do it. We've seen them do it, and that's totally fine. And then isn't the offensive coordinator like a billion years old too?
You guys are living in the past. You're living in the past with the Oakland Raiders last season.
Okay.
You're living
the old Panthers OC, by the way, Greg Olsen.
You're living with Gruden still in the past. You don't think he's going to update his methods. He will.
Okay.
He has been watching football. He hasn't been in a cave for 10 years. He has been watching football. He knows the new NFL. All right? He is a smart coach.
Okay.
All right, you guys, you might not buy into Oakland, but I will.
Hey, I hope I'm wrong, honestly, because I would love for you to be right about this stuff. And if you steal Jordy Nelson in our leagues and you get him that late and he does what you're saying he's going to do, I'm going to regret it. You know what? And I'll tell you that I was wrong right to your face.
All right.
I got no issue with that. I'm okay to admit when I'm wrong, but I'm right. All right.
All right. I think that's enough roasting of the Oakland Raiders. It's good. It's good fire here. I'm a believer in the Oakland Raiders. I'm a believer on the comeback train. Prove me right, guys. Come on. All right. We'll wrap up the AFC West here with some juicy takes from Josh the Boss and the Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead. Take it away.
All right. First of all, I just want to say, Brad, could you make sure you earmark this episode in our library, please? That way we can come back to it in case.
I'm going to save these clips so we can replay them when we're wrong and Pat's right and he can shove in our face.
Okay, good. I'm just glad that we talked about that. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs. First off, we'll start off with your homie, Brad, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I love him.
All right, so he's actually going as the 16th quarterback overall. He's got an ADP of 1.
Steal.
It's a steal for a guy who's played one game. You're absolutely right. 117 ADP overall, which means he's going in the 11th round in 10-team leagues, and even earlier, 9th, 10th round in 12-team leagues. There's a little fun fact for you, though. Do you know that his schedule is the hardest in the NFL for quarterbacks. It ranks 32nd out of 32. That's a fun fact for a guy who's played one game, who's going as the 16th overall quarterback. There's a little
Brad's sweating over there.
All right, so he's only played one NFL game. There are safer options to take here. You know, Alex Smith finished as a QB1 last year, right? Okay, we can agree with that. He did. But don't expect that same thing from him. He's got a solid arm. You know who else has got a solid arm? Joe Flacco. Jay Cutler. They both got cannons. Doesn't make them great quarterbacks. The Chiefs' defense will be awful, which is going to increase more passing opportunities for Mahomes, right? But you got to remember, he's essentially a rookie, which will mean he'll probably throw more interceptions. I understand he had 734 yards in college against Oklahoma, but that defense was awful, and this is the NFL. He ain't throwing for no 734 yards in the NFL. He's a scrub. Andy Reid will protect him. No, he might not be a scrub. I'm just kidding. Andy Reid's going to protect him, and he's going to be better than Alex Smith long term. But to me, he's my second quarterback. If I never draft two quarterbacks, but he certainly won't be my number one quarterback. To me, I really don't think that he's going to have this incredible season like you, Brad. And with that schedule, man, his schedule is brutal. He just don't buy into it, dude. I'm telling you, Brad. I'm trying to save you right now. 3,700 yards is what I'm projecting, which is still high, but I'm not buying it. 20 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I'll get you a little bit of rushing yards, 200. One touchdown rushing, 14.1 points per game, though. Not good for a guy who's going as the 16th overall quarterback. Too high.
Don't love it.
Now we got Kareem the Dream. I know you guys love Kareem, but he's going as the 7th running back overall and 9th overall in ADP. It's too high for a guy who's only going to get 60% of the work. So that's my hot take, is that Kareem Hunt is being overvalued. That's right, overvalued. He might even get less than 60% of the work. Fournette, Gordon, and Dalvin Cook are going after him, and to me, they're better values. He had awful games in the middle of the year, and then he finished strong again. He started out strong. But that's what Andy Reid does, and this was before Spencer Ware was there. He was hurt all year. Kareem Hunt got those carries because they had a lack of options. They didn't want to do it. It's historical for Andy Reid to do a 60-30-10 split with his running backs. That's what is normally going to happen, and I don't want a guy to be drafted in the first round who's going to get 60% of the work. I know he led the league in rushing, but like I said, that's out of necessity. Andy Reid's going to want to keep him healthy because he thinks he's going to make the playoffs, which he won't with the schedule on this young quarterback. But 4.9 yards per carry was great, but he broke a lot of big runs. 58-yard run, a 53-yard run, 69-yard run. That's not going to happen this year. But I will tell you this. I still think he's going to get close to 1,000 yards, about 950. 8 touchdowns, 45 catches, 380 yards, 2 touchdowns for 15 points per game. And like I said, I don't think he's a bad option. I just think that there are better values. So if you're looking at your third wide receiver being taken here, you're looking at taking Odell Beckham Jr. or you're looking at taking Kareem Hunt. And I personally would take Odell Beckham Jr. over Kareem. That's just my opinion. And then we got our receivers over here, Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. Tyreek Hill in 12-team leagues is being drafted as a wide receiver 1, and I cannot tell you guys how big of a mistake that is. So he's getting drafted 11th wide receiver, 26th overall. The guys going behind him or near him are Thielen and Baldwin. And I believe I would rather have Adam Thielen and Doug Baldwin. Tyreek Hill is going to lose production because of Sammy Watkins. You got to remember, they're both big play receivers, so that's going to hurt him. Alex Smith is a consistent passer, and Mahomes, I think, is going to be a little erratic, especially with this schedule like we've already talked about. The schedule's a little friendlier for wide receivers. It's actually only the 22nd most difficult, but it's still pretty difficult. He's still going to be that big play threat, but he's just not consistent. He wasn't consistent last year, and he had 4 weeks of 8 points or less in PPR. And he had one more that he would have had 8 points in, but it was saved by a touchdown. So for me, a guy that I'm going to take as my wide receiver 1, I'm just not buying it, man. It's too high. 15.8 yards per catch doesn't seem sustainable to me. And guess who's taking over the play calling again, guys? Mr. Waffle House, the Walrus, Andy Reid. He's going to run the ball a little bit more. The one thing that Tyreek Hill's got going for him, he's so fast. He's just so super fast. I'm predicting 68 catches, 890 yards, 6 touchdowns 12.8 points per game. Too low for a guy getting drafted that high. Now, the guy who I feel like is the better value, Mr. Sammy Waffles. I know Brad loves him, and I'm going to tell you why I love him this year. 32nd wide receiver being taken off the board, 74th overall. That's got value written all over it. I love this spot for him. I'm going to take him there if he's there. He's going to people can't forget about the talent that he has. Sammy Watkins was drafted high in that draft, just like, a lot of these other guys we've talked about, like a Mike Williams and things like that. LA didn't use him properly, and in Buffalo, he never had a great quarterback. I do think that Patrick Mahomes is going to develop into a great quarterback, and he's going to take some shots because he's going to be under pressure, and he's going to have to try and make some plays with how awful that defense is. And Sammy Watkins will be the beneficiary here. I think he's going to get used. You guys remember Deshaun Jackson in Philly when Andy Reid was a coach? I think that's going to be about how Sammy Watkins is going to be used here. He's going to be that relevant. He's everything he needs to be successful. The coach, a great running game, another dominant receiver on the other side to draw attention away from him. The schedule and the QB are going to be the only negatives here, but he's going to be the best receiver on this team. I'm getting 75 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Sammy Waffles is going to be a steal this year. He's going to blow up. Trust me when I tell you that. And then you got Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, the only thing that's really going to hurt him this year, I think, could be his quarterback play. Like we said, Patrick Mahomes has a bigger arm. I think he's going to take more risks than Alex Smith did. And Alex Smith was a safe guy. He looked to Travis Kelce. I don't think he's going to break 1,000 yards this year, and this will be the first time that he hasn't done it. The past 2 seasons he has, but I don't see that happening. He's still one of the best tight ends in the game. He's a playmaker. We know this about Travis Kelce. He can make something out of nothing. But and he stays healthy. He's healthier than Gronk. Okay? So the problem here with Travis Kelce is value. Are you really getting that? Where you have to take him, you're giving up on a solid running back or a wide receiver. If you're willing to do that, that's okay. But I never take tight ends that early. And Mahomes being his quarterback, I don't know how that's going to play out. It only solidifies my decision to do so. I'm still getting 70 catches, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns with 12.3 points per game. I still love Kelce. I love Watkins. I like Kareem Hunt, but I don't like his value. There's some great options on this team, guys. What do you guys think?
All right, so I'm just going to start with Travis Kelce because it's kind of fresh in my mind. You said 7 touchdowns. Last year he had 8. That's his highest touchdown total he's ever had, and that's always been the knock on Travis Kelce is he doesn't get the touchdowns that most of your premium tight ends get. He gets the reception work, but now you bring in Sammy Watkins, who's going to take some of those receptions and those targets away. You got Kareem Hunt, who's going to get receptions. Like you said, though, I agree with you. That's a high draft price you're going to pay for Travis Kelce, and I'm not sure he's going to get the targets and stuff that he got with Alex Smith. I agree with you with Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins could have a better year than Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has your boomer bust potential. Tyreek Hill has that ability to take a little into the second quarter play and turn it into a touchdown to make the quarterback and himself fantasy relevant for that 1 week.
You're talking about the Dallas game.
The Dallas game, yep, where he had that one play at the end of the second half where Dallas didn't know how to guard a punt on a 3rd down play, and that's what they did.
I feel like you're doing that to hurt Rob. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well. But Patrick Mahomes, I don't care if he has the worst schedule for quarterbacks. I don't care if he had the 42nd worst schedule for quarterbacks.
It's not possible.
I know, but I'm just saying. Here's the reason. You said 14 points per game, correct?
Yes.
So 14 points per game. Now, once I take out those Denver games, which probably won't be good games, I take out those Charger games, because those probably won't be good games. Now I can stream him for his good matchups. So if he's only getting me 7, 8, 12 points in these bad matchups, now in the good matchups, he's getting me 25, 28 points a game, because that's the only way he's going to make his averages. So you need to play him. He's still a late quarterback. You said 16th quarterback taken?
Yes.
So 16th quarterback taken. That means he's my probably 2nd quarterback on my team. I don't like having 2 quarterbacks, but you could do it. And you could make it work.
I disagree.
You could pair him with a Ben Roethlisberger who you don't play on the road, and you put Patrick Mahomes in there. You guys
I disagree.
But when I win this fantasy championship, because you said play it safe, you know where safe gets you? 2nd place.
No, yeah, you're right. But taking a risk, I'm just not buying it with Mahomes yet.
First or worst?
I think
First
he's getting drafted too high. There's guys who are going after him who I still think are better options. I might even rather have Blake Bortles. I might even rather have Blake the Snake. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it.
You're not going to mention Spencer Ware?
No, I'm not going to mention Spencer Ware because he's not going to be super fantasy relevant. I mentioned him in the fact that I think he'll take some work away from Kareem Hunt, but I don't think that he's going to be a guy that is going to sit there and win you a week or anything like that. Now, do you guys disagree with my take on Kareem Hunt? That's what I want to know is how you guys feel about that. Do you think that he's being overvalued or undervalued?
I think his value is about where it should be with the year he had last year. Because for rookie running backs, you do expect them to progress. My problem is, like you said, with Spencer Ware, I don't think he's healthy. They brought in running backs in the offseason, so I don't think they think Spencer Ware is ready to go to be that second down back. I can still see Kareem Hunt losing work in the passing down and third down work like he did with Cheifs West last year, and that does scare me with him. Taking him that early. When you could take like a Melvin Gordon who has a more solidified role.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, you just hit it on the head. I don't really have much to add. I do think he's overvalued, like you said, just a little bit. You really think Sammy Watkins is going to be?
He's going to break out all over the place. He's going to break out like a 13-year-old boy's face. He's breaking out.
Okay. Brad, do you agree with this?
Well, I mean, if he breaks out and Tyreek Hill has his good year and Travis Kelce has his good year, that means Patrick Mahomes had a really good year.
Oh, boy.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, I don't see Sammy Watkins having a breakout year with Patrick Mahomes and the other weapons there. I just don't see it.
He's breaking out of prison.
I don't see where he gets those numbers. But that's all I really have to add to the Kansas City Chiefs. Brad, anything else you want to add to the Kansas City Chiefs?
They have been experimenting with using Sammy Watkins in different positions, moving to the slot, moving from the X to the Y, to actually get him more involved. Last year with LA, he only ran one type of route in the X route. Getting all crazy and technical here, but so that does bode well for him. They're trying him in different things.
What makes you think that he's going to be worse than Jordy Nelson?
Okay.
All right.
Because Jordy Nelson has proven himself to be a good wide receiver. He's had great years. Sammy Watkins has never had.
Okay. Well, who's been Jordy Nelson's quarterback?
Yeah, A.A. Brown. We all know that.
Yeah, so pretty solid quarterback.
Okay. Who's been Sammy Watkins' quarterback?
Tell me.
Jared Goff.
Okay.
Pretty good.
No, he's had one decent year.
Pretty good.
All right. And then who was in Buffalo? Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah.
And
it's not bad.
Tyrod Taylor?
It's not terrible.
I feel like this is going off the rails, guys. I apologize for this.
It's not terrible. It's better than Brett Hundley.
Sammy Watkins is better than Jordy Nelson. We're gonna make a bet on it. I'll bet you $10. Sammy Watkins has a better year.
Let's get the money on it. We'll do.
We'll do a soda bet. We'll do a soda bet then. Okay.
How about
soda bet?
How about let's just agree that you're wrong and I'm right?
Well, we're not going to do that because.
Right.
I'll earmark this one for you, Josh, too.
Okay, good. Can't wait. All right, go ahead. Let's close this thing out since you just
Are we done?
Yeah,
Are we done?
I'm done.
Brad, are you done with the AFC West?
I'm done with the AFC West. There are a lot of good defenses out there, which does make strength schedules really hard for a lot of these players, like Josh brought up.
Like Mahomes. 32nd hardest, actually.
All right, and that wraps up the AFC West. Thanks for tuning in again to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. And this actually wraps up the AFC as well. We covered all 4 divisions. We had a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, a lot of prep work. We got some exciting new features coming for our next episode. But we'll let you know. Tune in on Twitter. Follow us. We'll keep you updated.
Oh, Pat, if I can just interrupt you. If you guys want to be part of a mock draft with us, hit us up on Twitter, and we'll see if we can't get you guys in here. We want to get a live mock draft on the next episode.
All right.
Hit us up on Twitter.
There we go. So hit us up on Twitter at EmptyWagonFF for following the podcast. All right, and final prediction before we close this thing out. Patriots going back to the Super Bowl as AFC champions. That's going to close out the AFC. Thanks for listening to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Blue Spade Productions. We love you. At Blue Spade Pro on Twitter if you want to follow them. They're the reason we get our name out there, and you guys are following us. Hopefully you're listening to this on the Podcast Republic app. And that's going to conclude this episode of the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Pat Curran at HatchPat37. Have a great week.
Later.
Bye.